A cop gave a biker a ticket on the road. What a hot man, she thought, unaware he was a mafia boss. The sun burned low over the California highway, a stretch of hot asphalt cutting through dry hills and lazy wind. Officer Madison Carter squinted behind her aviator sunglasses, one hand resting on the radar gun as the other gripped her hip. It had been a long, quiet afternoon, until the black motorcycle blurred past her patrol car like a bullet. 85 and a 60, she muttered. You've got to be kidding me. Her lights flashed red and blue, slicing through the dusty air. The bike slowed, tires screeching lightly before pulling to the side of the road. The rider dismounted, one booted foot hitting the ground with confidence that irritated her immediately. Maddie stepped out of her cruiser, posture straight, badge catching the sun. She'd stopped dozens of bikers before. Most were either nervous or rude. This one, though. This one didn't move like the others. There was calm in his body, like he was in control of everything, even her patrol lights. He removed his helmet. And for a second, just 1 second, Maddie forgot how to breathe. Thick dark hair fell loose around his temples, a few strands clinging to a tanned forehead. His jawline looked like it had been carved with intention, shadowed by the kind of stubble that made women stare longer than they should. His green eyes, impossibly sharp under the sunlight, met hers without a hint of apology. Her heartbeat kicked. Get it together, Carter. License and registration, she said, voice steady. You were doing 25 over. He smirked, voice deep and smooth. You sure your radar's not broken, officer? She raised an eyebrow. Are you suggesting I don't know how to use my own equipment? Not at all, he said, tilting his head slightly. Just hoping you'd give me the benefit of the doubt. She held out her hand, unimpressed. License. He pulled it from his jacket, black leather, worn but expensive, and passed it to her. Their fingers brushed briefly, warm skin, solid. Something shifted in her stomach. She glanced down at the name. Lorenzo Moretti. Her lips parted slightly. That last name rang faintly in her mind, like something she'd heard once in a briefing or on a police report. But she brushed it off. There were plenty of Italians in California. Mr. Moretti, she said crisply, writing the ticket. Do you have any reason for driving like you're auditioning for Fast and Furious? He smiled, slow, amused. Maybe I just wanted someone to chase me. Her pen froze. That tone wasn't arrogant. It was teasing, dangerous. She looked up. He was watching her closely, eyes glinting like he already knew she was blushing behind her glasses. You think this is funny? I think you're beautiful when you're mad, he said simply. For the first time that day, Madison's professionalism cracked. Her pulse jumped so hard she could hear it in her ears. You just earned yourself another citation for harassment, she said dryly, tearing the ticket and handing it to him. He took it with a quiet chuckle, folding it in half before sliding it into his jacket pocket. Guess I deserved that. You did, she said, turning to walk back to her car. But his voice stopped her halfway. What's your name, officer? She hesitated. Carter. He nodded, like he was memorizing it. Carter, he repeated softly. Nice name. Drive safe, Mr. Moretti. I always do, he said, putting the helmet back on. Well, almost always. The engine growled alive. As he sped away, her eyes followed despite herself. The curve of his shoulders under the jacket, the confidence, the danger. She exhaled, shaking her head. What a hot man. But arrogant as hell. She slid back into her cruiser, trying to suppress the stupid smile threatening to form. It was ridiculous. He was just another biker. She had a job to do. But the next few hours didn't help. Every time she blinked, she saw that smirk. Those eyes, the way he said her name like it meant something. Later that night, the small precinct buzzed with the sound of printers and old fluorescent lights. Maddie sat at her desk, filing reports, when Sergeant Walker stopped by her cubicle holding a sheet of paper. You pulled over someone today on Highway 26? He asked, looking uneasy. Yeah, speeding. Why? He leaned in. Name? Lorenzo Moretti, she said, puzzled. Why? Walker swore under his breath. Jesus, Maddie, you don't check the names before you write a ticket? He was speeding, she shot back. That's all I needed to know. You ticketed that Moretti. He lowered his voice. He's connected. His family very connected. We've had federal eyes on them for years. She frowned. You mean Mafia? I'm saying watch your back, he said. Don't go near that man again. Maddie stared at the wall after he left. Mafia boss? No. He was cocky, sure, but he didn't look like a criminal. And yet, deep down, a small voice whispered that she had noticed something else in those eyes. Something darker, controlled, dangerous. Her phone buzzed on the desk. Unknown number. She opened it. You shouldn't have written that ticket. She froze. The room suddenly felt smaller, quieter. She looked around. Empty desks, a flickering exit sign. Another text came through. He doesn't like being told what to do. Her throat tightened. Was someone watching her? Or was it him? A shadow crossed the glass window of her office. For a second, she thought she saw a tall figure near the parking lot, black jacket, helmet under his arm. But when she rushed to look, there was nothing. Her phone buzzed again. See you soon, Officer Carter. She stared at the screen, heart hammering, torn between fear and something else entirely. Because if she was honest with herself, the idea of seeing him again didn't only scare her, it thrilled her. Officer Madison Carter did not scare easily. She'd worked traffic in rough parts of the city, pulled over drunk truckers twice her size, and once had to pull a crying toddler out of the back seat while the parents screamed at her. She knew how to keep her pulse steady. She knew how to separate work from emotion. But that night, lying in bed with her phone still on the nightstand, the 3 messages from the unknown number kept replaying in her head. You shouldn't have written that ticket. He doesn't like being told what to do. See you soon, Officer Carter. She'd traced the number through the basic tools she had access to. Burner, no owner, no location. Whoever sent it knew what they were doing, which meant Sergeant Walker was right. She hadn't just ticketed a random hot biker. She had ticketed a man people warned her about in briefings. But what stuck with her wasn't the warning. It was his face when he'd said her name. The next day was routine. Patrol, paperwork, traffic stop, report. She tried to act like everything was normal, but a tension had settled under her skin. Not quite fear, not quite curiosity. Something in between. Around 8 p.m. after her shift, she drove to Lou's Diner, the place all the late shift cops went when they didn't want to cook. Neon red sign, peeling vinyl booths, smell of fries and coffee. Safe, predictable, familiar. She parked, checked the parking lot out of habit. No black Ducati, no SUV. Good. She slid into her usual booth near the window. Linda, the night waitress, waved. Long day, honey? You have no idea. Maddie sighed. Grilled chicken, no bun, and coffee, strong. You got it. Maddie relaxed against the seat. The low hum of conversation, clink of cutlery, and the old rock playing from the radio grounded her. Out there, men like Lorenzo Moretti moved in shadows and black cars. In here, cops just complained about paperwork. She took off her duty belt, letting her hips breathe for a second, then tied her hair into a messy knot. Out of uniform, out of duty. Just Maddie. The doorbell dinged. She didn't even look up at first, then she felt it. It was ridiculous how fast her body recognized him, like her skin remembered before her eyes did. A shift in the room, a current of attention, a presence too composed to be accidental. She looked toward the entrance. There he was, no helmet this time, no bike, no excuse. Lorenzo Moretti stood in the doorway like the place belonged to him, wearing a black button-down rolled at the forearms, dark jeans, and that same calm, dangerous confidence. His hair was pulled back, revealing the sharp lines of his face. 2 men in dark suits walked in behind him and immediately sat at the counter, scanning the room without looking like they were. Security. This was no random biker look now. This was boss energy. Her stomach flipped. You have got to be kidding me. He saw her and smiled. Not a flirty smile this time, a knowing one. Like, I said I'd see you soon. He walked toward her booth, unhurried. Every woman in the diner looked at him. Even Linda paused mid-order. Officer Carter, he said, stopping at her table. Didn't think I'd find you this fast. She narrowed her eyes. That implies you were looking. That implies you wanted me to. She gestured to the seat across from her. You can't sit here. He sat anyway. Of course he did. Wow, she muttered. You really don't like being told no. He leaned back, relaxed, eyes on her like he was enjoying every second. No, he agreed softly. I don't. Linda arrived with the coffee. For you, sweetie, and for your friend? Lorenzo flashed her a charming smile. An espresso, please. Linda nodded, flustered. Coming right up. Maddie waited until Linda was out of earshot before speaking. Why are you here, Moretti? Lorenzo, he corrected. You said my last name yesterday. Today we can be less formal. We can't, she said sharply. I'm a cop. You're... She stopped herself. He tilted his head. I'm what? She met his gaze. Someone I was told to stay away from. He didn't deny it, didn't pretend. He just watched her, amused, like a cat that found a police officer honest enough to say it to his face. And yet, he said, eyes flicking down to the table, you didn't leave when I sat down. She hated that he was right. I didn't leave, she said, because this is a public place and I'm off duty and I didn't do anything wrong yesterday. You did everything right yesterday, he said, and there was something different in his tone now. You saw a man breaking the law and you treated him like everyone else. No fear, no special treatment. You looked me in the eye and gave me a ticket. He leaned forward, voice lower. Do you know how rare that is? The way he said it wasn't a threat, it was admiration, and that was worse. Because admiration from a man like him was tempting. Lorenzo, she said quietly, I don't know what kind of men you usually deal with. Men, he cut in, and women. None of them talk to me like you do. But I have a badge, I have rules, I can't be seen with you. You're not seen with me, he said. We're just talking. She gave him a hard look. We both know that's not true. His eyes warmed, a slow smile pulling at his lips. No, he murmured. We both know this is not just talking. Her heartbeat skipped, because again, he was right. There was a pull between them she couldn't explain. It wasn't just physical. It was the mix of danger and respect. He didn't beg, didn't whine, didn't try to impress her. He was simply himself, and somehow that made it worse. His espresso arrived. He thanked Linda with a nod. The men at the counter kept watch. Maddie lowered her voice. You texted me last night. No, he said immediately. I didn't. That threw her. You didn't? He shook his head. If I wanted to talk to you, officer, I'd come in person, like now. Then who? Someone else saw you pull me over, he said. Someone who thinks you made a mistake. His eyes locked on hers. I don't. Her throat tightened. So I'm in danger because of you? You were in danger the moment you were born wearing a badge, he said simply. Yesterday just made it visible. She hated that answer. She hated that it made sense. She hated even more that he was watching her with that dark, intent gaze, like he was memorizing the shape of her mouth when she was angry. Tell me something, he said. When you pulled me over, you thought I was hot. She almost choked. Excuse me? That's what the look was, he said, like he was stating a fact. You kept your tone cold, but your eyes, they softened for half a second. She stared at him, trapped between mortification and fury. You are unbelievable. You noticed me, he said, voice quieter now, deeper. I noticed you too. Her cheeks burned. Maddie, he said, testing her first name on his tongue like he wanted to taste it. I don't get pulled over. I don't get told to slow down. I don't get handed a ticket. But you did it, and you didn't even know who I was. Should I have bowed? She shot back. Should I have apologized for doing my job? His eyes flashed, not with anger, but with something like interest. There it is, he murmured. That's what got me. What? You didn't bow. He leaned in, elbows on the table, breaking the space between them. She could smell his cologne now. Clean, masculine, expensive. Her body responded faster than her brain. "Most people," he said softly, "either fear me, flatter me, or pretend they don't know me. You didn't do any of those. You treated me like a man who broke the law, and God help me." He gave a small, dangerous smile. I liked it. Her pulse was in her throat. "This is exactly why I can't be near you," she whispered. "Because you twist things." "I don't twist," he said. "I see, and I go after what I want." Her breath hitched. "And what do you want?" His answer came without hesitation. "You." The word landed between them like a dropped glass. She swallowed hard. "You don't even know me." "I know enough," he said. "I know you're loyal. I know you don't scare easy. I know you're stubborn. I know you still miss your father. I know you took the badge for the right reason. And I know," his gaze dropped to her lips, "that you feel this too." Her eyes darted to the windows. What if someone saw them? What if someone from the precinct walked in? What if his men were recording? As if reading her thoughts, he said, "Relax. They won't post us on Instagram." She almost laughed despite herself. Then his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and for the first time since he arrived, his expression changed, just a fraction. His jaw tightened. "What?" she asked. He looked at her, then at the window, scanning outside. "Nothing. Small." He stood. "I have to go." "So that's it?" she said, somehow disappointed. "You walk in, shake up my night, then leave?" He put a hand on the table, leaned down just enough for only her to hear. "I told you yesterday I'd remember you," he said. "Today I came to prove it." Her breath caught. He straightened. "Stay alert, Officer Carter. Some people don't like that you talk to me." He paused. "Some people don't like that I talk to you." "Are you one of those people?" she asked. He looked straight into her eyes. "No," he said. "I'm the problem." Then he turned and left. His men followed him out. The bell dinged again. The door closed. The diner went back to its ordinary noise. But Maddie sat there staring at the door, feeling like a storm had just passed through her life. She grabbed her phone. "Maddie." "Sarge, do we have any active cases on the Moretti family right now?" Walker. "Why?" Maddie. "Because I think I just had dinner with him." There was a long pause. Walker. "Carter, you're playing with fire." Maddie. "I didn't invite him." Walker. "Stay away. I mean it." She sighed, tossed the phone on the table. "Stay away." Sure. Like that was still possible. When she stepped outside into the cool night air, she scanned the parking lot again. Empty. No SUV. No bike. But on her windshield, tucked under the wiper, was a folded piece of paper. Her heart stuttered. She unfolded it. Neat, masculine handwriting. "Next time, let me buy you dinner. L." She looked around. No one. She should have been angry. She should have been scared. Instead, she bit back a smile she had no business feeling. Then her phone buzzed again, this time from the precinct internal system. Internal alert. Possible surveillance on Officer Madison Carter. Report if you see suspicious vehicles near your residence. Her blood ran cold. It wasn't just him watching. Someone else had noticed their contact. Someone who didn't want a cop anywhere near Lorenzo Moretti. The knock on her apartment door came just after midnight. 3 sharp raps, spaced perfectly apart. Not friendly, not random. Officer Madison Carter froze where she stood, her off-duty t-shirt clinging to damp skin from a long shower. She glanced toward her holster on the kitchen counter. Her Glock lay beside her badge, half a step too far away. Another knock. She slipped silently across the living room, bare feet soundless on the hardwood. Through the peephole, nothing. No one. The hallway light flickered, and all she saw was the empty metal railing of her complex. Then a whisper of movement at the far end of the hall. Her instincts screamed. She grabbed the gun, dropped the safety, and dialed the precinct as she backed away. Before dispatch could answer, glass shattered. Her living room window exploded inward. 2 men in dark clothes came through the gap like shadows, boots crunching on the broken glass. She fired once into the ceiling. "Police! Don't move!" They didn't listen. One lunged forward. She dodged, slammed her elbow into his ribs, kicked the second one toward the wall, but a hand caught her wrist hard. The gun clattered away. "Let go of me!" she hissed. The taller man raised a hand, maybe to hit her, when the apartment door burst open behind them. A single gunshot tore through the room. The first intruder dropped. The second spun around, and standing in the doorway, framed by the hall light, was Lorenzo Moretti, dark coat, expression carved in stone. The gun in his hand barely moved before another shot hit the second man's shoulder, spinning him to the floor. Silence. The smell of gunpowder and broken glass filled the air. Maddie's breath came fast, chest heaving. "What the hell are you doing here?" He holstered the weapon. "Saving you." "I didn't ask for your help." "You didn't have time to." She pointed to the fallen men. "Who are they?" His gaze followed hers. "Not mine." She glared. "That's comforting." He walked toward her slowly. "You were right. Someone's watching you. Someone who wants to send me a message." She took a step back, adrenaline mixing with anger. "A message? By breaking into my home? By touching something that belongs to me?" That froze her. "Excuse me?" she demanded. "I'm not something you own." His eyes softened slightly. "I didn't mean it that way." "Then how did you mean it?" He didn't answer. Instead, he moved closer, close enough that she felt the warmth radiating off his body, smelled the faint trace of leather and smoke. Her pulse jumped again. Fear, attraction, maybe both. "You were watching me, weren't you?" she said quietly. "Yes." Her stomach tightened. "Why?" "Because after that night at the diner," he said, voice low, "I knew someone else would." The truth in his tone hit her harder than the words. She wanted to yell to tell him he had no right, but the part of her that had lain awake thinking about him the night before didn't want to let go of the feeling of being protected, even by the wrong man. He reached out and brushed a strand of hair from her face. The gesture was gentle, almost hesitant. "Don't," she whispered. "Don't what?" "Touch me like that." His hand stilled, hovering an inch from her cheek. "Why not?" "Because—" She swallowed, throat dry. "Because I'll let you." The air between them turned thick, charged. He dropped his gaze to her lips, and for a heartbeat she thought he'd close the distance. He didn't. Instead, he bent down, picked up her gun, checked the chamber, and handed it back grip first. "Next time," he said, "shoot them before they get this close." Her fingers brushed his as she took it. Heat flashed up her arm. She hated that her body noticed every touch, every breath. "Who are you, really?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "You already know." "Mafia Boss," she said flatly. "Those are your words. They're everyone's." He stepped closer again. "Then maybe everyone's right." Her chest rose and fell too fast. "So what now? You drag these guys out? Burn their car? What's the next move, boss?" He looked at her, not amused this time. "The next move is making sure they don't come back." "And me?" His answer came quiet, almost gentle. "You stay somewhere safe." "Where? Your place?" His jaw flexed, like he wanted to say yes but knew what it would sound like. She laughed once, harshly. "That's what I thought." "Maddie," he said, "don't call me that." He ignored her. "You're involved now, whether you like it or not. They'll come again, not because you're a cop, because of me. I can handle myself." He studied her, the set of her shoulders, the trembling in her hands she was trying to hide. "You're brave," he said quietly. "That's the problem." She looked away. "I don't need saving." "I didn't say you did," he murmured, voice suddenly closer. "But I'm not leaving you alone tonight." She turned, about to argue, and stopped. The way he was watching her made her heart misfire, not as a threat, not even as a man used to getting what he wanted. It was something rawer, unguarded. For a moment, the world shrank to the space between them, to the rise and fall of their breathing, the memory of his hand on her skin. He moved closer until the edge of his coat brushed her arm. "You keep looking at me like that," he said, voice rough, "and I won't stop." Her breath caught. Then don't look at me like that. He gave a quiet laugh, almost against his will. Impossible. They stood like that for several seconds, two people on opposite sides of a line that was getting harder to see. A car screeched outside. Lorenzo glanced toward the window. We have to go, now. She blinked. We? He motioned to the door. You're coming with me. Not a chance. He reached into his jacket, pulled out a small flash drive, and tossed it onto her table. Your father's name is on there, he said. You'll want to see it before you argue. Her heart stopped. My father? He nodded once. He wasn't killed by accident. The words hit her like a punch. She stared at him, disbelief twisting into anger. You don't get to talk about him. I'm not talking, he said. I'm giving you a chance to know the truth. She looked down at the flash drive, then back at him. And you just happened to bring that with you tonight? I planned to give it to you tomorrow, he said. But someone else decided not to wait. He turned toward the door. Come on. She hesitated, gun still in hand, heart thundering. Going with him was the worst possible decision. Every rule, every instinct told her no. But the memory of her father's folded flag on the coffin, and the word truth, made her follow. They left through the back stairs, moving fast, the cool night air hitting her face like reality trying to pull her back. He led her to a dark SUV parked near the alley. One of his men waited behind the wheel. Lorenzo opened the back door for her. She stood there, uncertain. You always plan things this perfectly. He looked at her over the roof of the car. Only when I care about the outcome. Her stomach flipped again. She slid into the seat. As the car pulled away, he spoke without looking at her. The people who came for you weren't random. They're working for someone who wants me distracted. You were the easiest way. She clenched her fists. Then use me as bait. He turned, surprised. What? You heard me. Use me to draw them out. He shook his head. You're reckless. I'm a cop. He leaned in slightly, voice barely above a whisper. You're also a woman who doesn't know when to walk away. Their eyes locked again, the tension snapping tight between them. Why would I? She whispered. You show up, shoot two men, tell me my father's death wasn't an accident, and expect me to stay home? For a second, he almost smiled. I like that fire, he said quietly, but it's going to get you killed. Maybe, she said, or maybe it'll finally get me answers. He studied her for a long moment, then nodded once, as if conceding. You'll get your answers, he said, but you'll get them my way. She crossed her arms. And if I don't agree? His tone turned softer, darker. Then I'll keep you safe anyway. Her chest tightened. That sounds a lot like control. He met her gaze, unflinching. Maybe it's both. The SUV rolled through the city lights, reflections flickering across his face. Outside, sirens wailed somewhere far away. Inside, silence. She looked at him. Really looked. The man who terrified half the city had just risked himself to save her. The same man who claimed to be her problem now. And despite every reason to hate that, she felt it again. That magnetic pull, that dangerous warmth. You're losing your mind, she told herself. He caught her staring. What? He said, half amused. Nothing, he smirked. Liar. When they stopped, it was in front of a large iron gate outside the city. Beyond it, a long driveway disappeared into trees and shadows. Where are we? She asked. My safe house, he said simply. You'll stay here until I find who sent them. I'm not staying anywhere with you. He turned to her, eyes serious. You will tonight. Her pulse jumped. And if I don't? He leaned in close enough that she could feel his breath. Then I'll sit in your car outside your apartment until dawn. Either way, you'll be safe. She glared. You're impossible. He smiled faintly. So are you. He got out first, opening her door like a gentleman, or a man, making sure she had no other choice. She followed him inside the mansion, every nerve alert, trying not to notice the way his hand brushed her lower back to guide her through the doorway. The place was quiet, guarded, but strangely warm. Dim lights, old wood, leather, the faint scent of cologne, not a criminal's lair. A home. Guest room's upstairs, he said. You'll find everything you need. She turned toward him. You really think I'm just going to sleep here like this is normal? He stepped closer. No, he said softly. Nothing about this is normal. For a second, neither moved. The air between them buzzed again, unspoken, electric. His gaze dropped briefly to her lips, then back to her eyes. He was close enough to touch. Close enough to make her forget every reason she should run. She broke the silence first. Good night, Moretti. He smiled. Good night, officer. But when she reached the top of the stairs and looked back, he was still there in the hall, watching her. Not with possession, not with victory, but with something she couldn't name. And in that moment, she realized the truth she didn't want to admit. He might be dangerous, but being near him made her feel alive. The mansion was quiet at dawn. Golden light spilled through the tall windows, cutting thin lines across the hardwood floor. Madison woke slowly, the events of the night before flooding back like a dream she couldn't shake. Gunfire, broken glass, Lorenzo's hand on hers, that single line that wouldn't leave her head. Your father's name is on there. The flash drive sat on the nightstand, small and harmless looking. She picked it up, turning it between her fingers. It was time to find out what the hell he meant. She slipped on one of the oversized shirts left for her in the guest room, clearly his, and padded barefoot downstairs. The house was all stone, glass, and quiet money. Not ostentatious, but heavy with authority. Every detail looked chosen, deliberate, like him. She found his office door half open. He was there, of course he was, sitting behind a massive oak desk, jacket off, shirt sleeves rolled to his forearms, hair pulled back, eyes fixed on a screen. The light from the monitor carved sharp edges across his face. There was a tension in his jaw she hadn't seen before. He looked up. You should be asleep. Couldn't, she said, holding up the flash drive. You said my father's name is on this. He stood, came around the desk. Let me show you. She hesitated. No. I'll watch it myself. Something flickered in his eyes. Respect, maybe. And he nodded. Fine. Sit. She slid into the chair as he connected the drive to a laptop and stepped aside. A folder called Case Files, Internal Investigation appeared. Her chest tightened. She clicked. The first video was grainy surveillance footage, 2 men arguing in a dark parking lot. She froze when one of them turned toward the camera. Her father, Officer Daniel Carter, 12 years younger, angry, alive. The second man, shorter, suited, gesturing, was speaking fast. No audio. At one point her father pointed to a folder under his arm, then to the camera, then turned to leave. The date stamp was 2 days before his death. What is this? She whispered. Internal affairs footage, Lorenzo said quietly. He was working an off-record operation. Her voice shook. How do you have it? My family keeps things the Bureau loses. He leaned on the desk, arms crossed. Your father found evidence that the men he was chasing weren't my people. They were from a rival outfit. He was going to clear the Moretti name in one case, and someone didn't like that. She looked up sharply. You're saying my father was killed because he tried to help your family? I'm saying he was killed because he got too close to the truth. She stared at the screen, the old image flickering. Why tell me now? Because the same men who killed him are the ones who sent people to your apartment. She turned to him, heart pounding. You knew. I suspected. You should have told me. He met her anger without flinching. You wouldn't have believed me. You don't get to decide that. He exhaled, stepped closer. Madison, listen. Don't tell me to listen, she snapped, standing. You think because you saved me you get to keep secrets? You think I'll just... He caught her wrist before she could storm past him. Not roughly, just enough to stop her. She froze, feeling the strength in his hand, not threatening, just there. I think, he said quietly, you deserve to know everything, but I'm not sure you're ready for what comes with it. Try me. His gaze searched hers. Slowly he released her wrist, and for a moment neither of them moved. The silence between them felt different now. Not anger, not distance, but something raw, heavy, electric. "Why do you care so much?" she asked softly. "Why risk yourself for me?" He looked down, the corner of his mouth lifting in a humorless smile. "You really don't see it?" "See what?" "That I can't stop thinking about you," he said, voice low. "Since that day on the road. You walked right into my world, looked me in the eye, and didn't flinch. No one does that." Her pulse skipped. "You're insane." "Probably," he said, "but it doesn't make it less true." She wanted to say something sharp to break the moment, but the words caught in her throat. He stepped closer, his presence filling the space around her. His voice softened. "You've been fighting everyone since you lost him, haven't you?" She blinked. "What?" "Your father," he said gently. "You took the badge to prove you're strong enough. You don't let anyone close because you think weakness gets people killed." Her jaw tightened. "Stop psychoanalyzing me." "I'm not. I'm telling you what I see." "And what do you see, Lorenzo?" He held her gaze. "A woman who doesn't trust anyone, but wants to." The air grew still. She could feel his breath, warm against her skin. Her hands trembled slightly, and she hated that he noticed. "You should stay away from me," she whispered. He smiled faintly. "You keep saying that." "Because it's true." "Then why are you still here?" That broke her composure. She turned to go, but he reached out, fingers brushing her arm. She stopped. The touch sent a shock through her, like every nerve was awake at once. "Don't," she said again, but it came out softer. "Tell me you don't feel this," he murmured. She opened her mouth, but no words came, because she did, and he knew it. He took one more step. She backed into the edge of the desk. The space between them disappeared. He didn't kiss her. Not yet. He just looked at her, his hand sliding up her arm, stopping at her jaw. "Lorenzo," she said, barely a whisper. "Say it again." She didn't. He leaned in, his voice a rough whisper by her ear. "If I kiss you now, I won't stop." Her breath trembled. "Then don't start." He gave a low, humorless laugh. "You make that sound like a dare." "Maybe it is." For a heartbeat, time stopped. Then his forehead rested against hers, eyes closed, both of them breathing hard, fighting the same battle. Then a loud crack shattered the moment, glass splintering upstairs. He jerked his head up. "Down!" She ducked instinctively as he pulled her behind the desk, gun drawn in one motion. Footsteps above, quick, precise, then silence. He signaled for her to stay, moving toward the hall. She ignored him, of course she did, and followed. The adrenaline drowned out everything but the pulse in her ears. They reached the stairway. 2 of his men were already there, weapons ready. "Windows broken in the east wing," one said. "No sign of entry." Lorenzo cursed under his breath, scanning the dark corridor. "They found us faster than I thought." "Who?" Maddie asked. He turned to her, jaw tight. "The same ones your father died chasing." Her stomach twisted. "So now they're after me?" "No," he said. "They're after me. Your leverage." She stepped closer. "Then let me help." "No." "Why not?" "Because I can't think straight when you're in danger." That silenced her. He exhaled, lowered the gun. "We're leaving at first light." "To where?" "Somewhere safer." "And if I refuse?" He looked at her, really looked like he was memorizing her face. "Then I'll carry you out myself." Her chest ached, torn between fury and the part of her that wanted him to mean it. He turned to one of his men. "Double the guards outside. Nobody leaves until morning." Then he looked back at her. "Get some rest." "Right," she said, voice trembling. "Because that's so easy after you nearly—" He cut her off with a look. Not angry, intense, apologetic almost. She watched him walk away, disappearing into the hall. Only when she was alone did she realize her heart was still racing, not from the gunfire, but from the way his touch still lingered on her skin. Hours later, unable to sleep, she returned to the office. The screen was still glowing. She clicked through more files, and one new folder caught her eye. Project Valentina. She opened it. Photos, names, and a document marked Subject D. Carter. Status: deceased, intercepted by order of M. She frowned. M. Lorenzo Moretti? No. The file wasn't written by him. It was about him. The final line chilled her. Target's daughter must not discover connection until operation complete. Her throat closed. He knew. He'd always known. And he didn't tell her everything. At sunrise, she found him outside near the garden, leaning on the railing, phone pressed to his ear, speaking in Italian. His voice was low, harsh, angry. When he saw her, he ended the call immediately. "You were eavesdropping," he said. "I opened the rest of the files." His jaw flexed. "You shouldn't have. You should have told me," she snapped. "You knew my father's death was part of some project, and you let me think it was just a coincidence. I didn't let you think anything. You lied to me." He moved closer, voice rising. "I protected you by keeping the truth from me." "Yes," he said, grabbing her hand before she could walk away. "Because if you knew who ordered that file, you'd go after them, and they'd kill you like they killed him." She stared at him, heart pounding, fury and heartbreak colliding. "Let go of me." He didn't. "Maddie, let me go." He did, slowly, regret written all over his face. She turned away, blinking back angry tears. "I can't trust you," she whispered. "You can," he said. "You just don't want to." "Maybe you're right," she said, facing him one last time. "Because every time I look at you, I don't know if I want to arrest you or kiss you." His voice dropped. "Then kiss me." She shook her head. "Not when I don't know who you really are." She walked back inside before he could answer. He watched her go, jaw tight, hand flexing at his side. When the door closed, he muttered under his breath. Words she didn't hear. "You'll know soon, Bella, even if it breaks everything." The rain started without warning. By the time Madison Carter reached the front door of the Moretti mansion, lightning was splitting the sky over the trees, and her pulse felt like the thunder itself, sharp, relentless, too loud to ignore. She'd spent the entire day avoiding him. No shared meals, no conversation. Every time she heard Lorenzo's voice echo through the hall, she turned the other way. But she couldn't avoid what she'd learned. The folder labeled Project Valentina, her father's name on that report, and the single letter M written in the order line. M for Moretti. It had to be. Now she needed to know the truth, from his mouth. She found him in the west wing, pacing near the fireplace, phone in hand. He looked up the moment she entered, hair slightly messy, tie loose, shirt unbuttoned at the collar. He looked like he hadn't slept. When he saw her, he stopped moving. "Maddie, don't." Her voice trembled. "Don't say my name like that." He set the phone down slowly. "You found the file?" "Of course I did." She stepped closer, fists clenched. "It had my father's name on it, and yours." He sighed, rubbing his jaw. "It wasn't what you think." "Then tell me what it was." He hesitated, and that hesitation was worse than any confession. "You're lying," she said, the words breaking. "You've been lying since the day I met you." "Madison," he said quieter, "listen to me." "No," she snapped, "you listen to me. You don't get to show up, tear my life apart, and decide which parts of the truth I can handle." He took a slow breath, stepped closer. "Everything I did was to protect you." "Protect me?" She laughed bitterly. "From what? From the truth? From you?" His voice darkened. "From the people who killed your father. From the men who still want you dead." "Why? Because of you?" "Yes," he said simply. "Because of me." That stopped her. He took another step, closing the space between them. "Your father found evidence that could have brought down a man named Angelo Viscari," he said. "He ran a rival syndicate that's been at war with my family for years. When your father discovered the connection, they silenced him. My father made a deal to protect you and your mother afterward. You were just a kid." Her voice softened despite herself. "And you kept that secret all this time. I promised your father I'd keep you out of it. He saved one of my men once. I owed him." Her chest tightened. So you used me? His eyes hardened. No. I saw you on that road and I didn't know who you were until later. And by then, he stopped, the muscle in his jaw tightening. By then it was too late. Her throat burned. Too late for what? He looked at her like he didn't want to say it. Then he did. To pretend I didn't want you. The words cracked something open between them. The air thickened. Her pulse stuttered. Every part of her that had fought against him, against the pull, faltered. Don't do that, she whispered. Don't make this about. It is about that, he said, stepping closer. You think I care about anyone this way? You think I'd risk everything for anyone else? You're dangerous, she said, voice shaking. He nodded. Yes, and I'd burn every line I ever swore to protect if it meant keeping you safe. Her eyes filled with angry tears. You can't say things like that. Why not? Because I'll believe you. That hit him like a punch. He exhaled slowly, closing the distance until his breath brushed her cheek. Neither moved. Her chest rose against his. She could feel the heat radiating off him, the quiet power under his restraint. Say the word, he murmured, and I'll leave. I'll walk out that door and you'll never see me again. Her hands trembled at her sides. You won't. Try me. She swallowed hard. If you leave, I'll follow. Something in him broke at that. He reached up, brushed a tear from her cheek with his thumb. His touch was gentle, but his eyes were pure fire. This, he said, voice rough, is the part where you should push me away. Maybe I'm tired of doing the right thing, she whispered. That was all it took. He kissed her. The world fell away. It wasn't careful or polite. It was raw, the kind of kiss that comes after too many words, too much tension, too many nights pretending not to think about someone. His hands found her waist, hers tangled in his hair, pulling him closer, both of them drowning in the same storm. He tasted like danger and rain and everything she shouldn't want. When they finally broke apart, she was breathing like she'd run a mile. He rested his forehead against hers. I told you, he said, voice unsteady. If I started, I wouldn't stop. She didn't move. Then don't. He kissed her again. Slower this time, deeper, until her mind went blank and only instinct remained. The fire she'd fought for weeks consumed her, and for once, she didn't fight back. Later they sat by the fireplace, wrapped in silence. Her head rested against his shoulder, her fingers tracing the tattoos on his forearm. Small symbols she didn't understand, but somehow felt like pieces of him. For a while neither spoke. Then she asked quietly, "What happens now?" He looked into the fire. "Now I find who sent those men to your apartment. And if you can't, then I'll make them come to me." She frowned. "That's not how justice works." He turned to her, eyes soft but steady. "I don't do justice, Bella. I do results." Her lips curved into a sad smile. "That's what scares me." He reached for her hand. "Then tell me to stop." She didn't. Hours later, near midnight, she stood on the balcony outside his room, watching the rain ease into mist. The city lights flickered in the distance. Somewhere, thunder still rolled. She thought of her father, of the file, of the man sleeping a few steps away, the man she'd kissed, the man who could destroy everything she'd built. Then headlights flashed beyond the trees. 2, 3 SUVs, dark, no markings. Her stomach dropped. She turned back inside. "Lorenzo!" He was already awake, gun in hand. "What is it?" "Cars coming fast." He cursed under his breath. "They found us." "How?" "Someone inside." Before she could respond, the sound of breaking glass echoed downstairs, followed by shouting. She grabbed the backup gun he'd left on the table. "Stay here," he ordered. "Like hell." "Maddie, I said I'm not hiding anymore." He didn't argue this time. They moved together down the stairs, silent and tense. The front doors shook as gunfire cracked through the windows. One of Lorenzo's men went down. He fired back, precise, deadly. She covered the hallway. "Kitchen!" he shouted. They moved fast, ducking low as bullets ripped through the walls. Maddie felt the burn of adrenaline, fear, and the strange certainty that she belonged exactly here. Not behind a desk, not behind rules, but beside him. He pulled her through a side door into the garage. "Get in!" he barked, starting the black SUV. As the engine roared, she saw a face through the rain. One of the attackers, close enough for her to read his lips as he shouted into a radio, "We have the cop." "Repeat, we have the cop." Her blood ran cold. They weren't trying to kill them. They wanted her. A flash of movement. The driver's side window shattered. Lorenzo flinched, glass cutting his cheek. "Go!" she yelled. He gunned the engine. The tires screeched. Bullets sparked off the metal gate as they tore through. "Hold on," he said. The road twisted down the hill, headlights chasing them. She reached for her gun, fired twice out the window, hitting one tire. The SUV behind them swerved, but another took its place. "Where does this road go?" she shouted. "Nowhere," he said. "That's the point." A sharp turn. Too sharp. The tires lost grip. The vehicle spun once, twice before slamming into a fence post. The impact threw her forward. Pain flared in her shoulder. Lorenzo cursed, shoved the door open. "Come on!" They ran through the rain, cutting across a field toward the trees. The night was a blur of light and sound. Engines, shouting, thunder. She stumbled, caught herself, followed the sound of his voice. Then something hit her, a sharp sting in her neck. She turned, confused. A tranquilizer dart. "Lorenzo," she whispered. He spun just as she fell. "Maddie." Her vision blurred. She saw his silhouette, running toward her, shouting her name, before everything went dark. When she woke, her wrists were bound. Concrete floor, dim light. A man's voice nearby, cold, familiar. "Well," he said, stepping into view. "The famous cop who ticketed Lorenzo Moretti." Her head throbbed. "Who are you?" He smiled thinly. "Angelo Viscari. You've caused me quite a bit of trouble, Officer Carter. Where's Lorenzo?" "Oh, he'll come," Viscari said, crouching in front of her. "Men like him always do. That's why I kept you alive." She glared at him. "You're making a mistake." He laughed. "No, sweetheart, he did. The moment he fell in love with you." Somewhere far away, tires screeched. Engines, shouting. Then the sound of a door crashing open. Viscari smiled, stood, pulled a gun. "Right on time." She twisted against the rope, heart hammering. "Don't do this." The first gunshot echoed through the building. Then another, and another. Outside, a familiar voice roared her name. "Madison!" Her breath caught. He'd come for her. The gunfire was deafening. Bullets tore through the warehouse walls like thunder. Dust rained from the ceiling. Madison Carter pressed against a concrete pillar, wrists raw from the ropes, heart slamming against her ribs. Men shouted in Italian. Footsteps pounded closer. Then, silence. A shadow moved in the doorway. He came through the smoke like a nightmare dressed in black. Jacket soaked with rain, eyes burning green through the haze. Lorenzo Moretti. She exhaled his name, half relief, half disbelief. "Lorenzo." He didn't answer at first. He fired once, twice, clean shots, and the last guard dropped. The echo faded into the storm outside. Then he saw her. For a split second, everything else vanished. The gun in his hand, the bodies, the chaos. He crossed the distance in 3 strides, dropped to his knees beside her, and cupped her face with trembling hands. "Did they hurt you?" he demanded, voice hoarse. She shook her head, tears blurring her vision. "No, just get me out." His jaw clenched. "You shouldn't have been here. You shouldn't have come." He gave a humorless laugh. "You think I could stay away?" The ropes around her wrists snapped as he sliced through them with a knife from his belt. She gasped as blood rushed back into her fingers. He helped her stand, one hand steadying her waist. "Can you walk?" "I can run," she said, stubborn as ever. That almost made him smile. "That's my girl." They made it halfway down the corridor when a voice echoed from the upper balcony. "Lorenzo!" Angelo Viscari stood there, gun pointed down at them, smirk cold and confident. You're a hard man to kill, he said, but you brought me exactly what I needed. Lorenzo pushed Maddie behind him. You touch her, and I swear to God. Oh, relax, Viscari said. I don't shoot women. I just use them. He cocked the gun. Lorenzo moved first, a blur of motion, dragging Maddie behind a stack of crates as bullets tore through the air. One grazed his arm. He grunted but didn't stop. She reached for the pistol he'd given her, eyes fierce. Cover me. Maddie, do it. He didn't argue. He fired upward, drawing Viscari's aim. She broke from cover, rolled behind a pillar, and fired once. Missed, again. The third shot hit metal, the railing under Viscari's hand. He flinched, just long enough for Lorenzo to move in. A single clean shot. Viscari staggered, the weapon clattering from his grip. He fell backward, crashing through the glass and disappearing into the dark below. Silence, only the rain. Maddie stood shaking, gun still raised. Lorenzo approached slowly, hand covering hers, lowering the weapon. It's over, he said softly. Her voice trembled. You killed him. He would have killed you. Her eyes met his. And now what? What happens when the police come? When they find out what you've done? He gave a half smile that didn't reach his eyes. They won't find me. Her throat tightened. Lorenzo. He stepped closer, brushing wet hair from her face. You saved yourself tonight, Bella. You don't need me anymore. Her chest ached. Don't say that. It's true. It's not, she said fiercely. You think you're the villain in every story, but you're not. You saved me. You kept your promise to my father. He blinked. You knew? I saw the rest of the file, she said. He trusted you. He believed you could do what he couldn't. And you did. He looked away, jaw tightening. He was a good man. He would have liked you. That almost made him laugh. Almost. He reached out, fingertips tracing her cheek. You don't belong in my world, Madison. Maybe not, she whispered, but I belong with you. He exhaled sharply, torn between logic and the thing that had been burning inside him since the day she'd stopped him on that road. You don't know what you're saying. Yes, I do, she said, eyes shining. I know exactly what I'm saying. He looked at her for a long moment. The rain fell harder, echoing on the tin roof, a steady heartbeat against the silence. Then he kissed her, and this time it wasn't desperate or angry. It was final, certain, the kind of kiss that didn't ask for permission because it already had it. When they broke apart, she rested her forehead against his. You're bleeding, she whispered. He smiled faintly. I've had worse. She glanced toward the door. We have to go. He nodded. My men are outside. We'll disappear before anyone arrives. Disappear where? Anywhere you want. She laughed quietly. That's not how this works. It is now. By dawn they were miles away, the city lights a fading glow behind them. The SUV hummed down the empty highway. Maddie sat in the passenger seat, wrapped in his jacket, eyes heavy but alert. You really think we can just run? She asked softly. I don't run, he said. I relocate. Same thing. He smiled. Not when you have resources. She glanced at him, studying the cut on his arm. You need stitches. You worry too much. And you don't enough. He reached over, took her hand. I worry about you. Her chest tightened. You should worry about yourself. I don't matter, he said quietly. You do. She squeezed his hand. Don't say that. You matter to me. For the first time, his composure cracked. He turned his hand, fingers weaving through hers, eyes fixed on the road. Then that's enough. They reached the coast before sunrise. A small private dock waited below a cliffside safe house, the sea dark and endless beneath the fading moon. The air smelled of salt and freedom. He killed the engine, turned to her. You could still walk away. Would you let me? He smiled. No. She smiled back. Then stop pretending you would. He leaned closer. You're going to regret this. She shook her head. I already don't. He kissed her again, slower, deeper, until the sun broke over the horizon, washing everything in gold. For a moment, the world outside didn't exist. No cops, no mafia, no rules. Just them. When they finally pulled apart, she whispered, "What now?" He looked out toward the light. "Now we build something better. With me. With you." Weeks later, reports of Angelo Viscari's death circulated quietly. The FBI raided the remnants of his operation. Anonymous intel had led them to warehouses, accounts, and lists, all of it traced back to him, none of it touching the Moretti name. Officer Madison Carter took a leave of absence. No one asked why. Some nights she'd wake to the sound of waves outside the safe house, turn, and find him beside her, bare chest rising and falling, tattoos faint under the morning light. The man everyone feared looked almost peaceful in sleep. Sometimes she'd just watch him, thinking how strange life could be, that a traffic ticket could lead to this. Once, half asleep, he murmured something against her hair. "What?" she whispered. He smiled, eyes still closed. "I was right." "About what?" "That day on the road," he said. "You looked at me and thought, 'What a hot man.'" She laughed softly, buried her face against his shoulder. "You're impossible. And you love it." She sighed. "Yeah," she admitted. "I do." That morning, as the sun rose higher, she walked out onto the deck, the sea stretching endlessly before her. He joined her, slipping his arms around her waist from behind. "Do you ever think about going back?" she asked. "Sometimes," he said. "Then I remember what I found when I stopped." She turned in his arms. "What's that?" He looked at her like she was the only thing left in the world worth saving. "You," he said simply. She smiled. "You still owe me for that ticket." He grinned. "Guess I'll spend the rest of my life paying it off." And when he kissed her again, gentle, unhurried, full of promise, she knew he meant it. She stopped him for speeding, but he stopped her heart forever. If you enjoy stories like this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That's how I'll know you truly liked it. Even if you're watching on your TV, grab a second to join this family of fans who love emotional and heartfelt stories. Your support means everything, and it helps us bring you even more tales like this one.